All right. Good afternoon to those of you on the East Coast. Good morning to those of you on the West Coast. I'm your host, Brandon Troy, host and co-creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. And if you had a chance to take a look at the title that we have for this edition show, you'll know that we have yet again a great guest, on tap for you guys. So without further ado, I want to introduce them. Um, they have spanned their talents not only across on the stage but also on the small screen and on the big screen, and on the small screen on shows such as Brooklyn Nine-Nine, on Lodge 49, Roswell, New Mexico, and then just to tip the iceberg, so to speak, in terms of their credits on the big screen. Um, just to span just a tip of it. Here Kills the Bride, Lucky, and Mi Vida Loca. However, for this edition show, we're going to be talking about their starring turn in home economics. So it is my pleasure to welcome on the show Bertila Damas. Let me bring her on now.
Hi.
Hi,
Thanks.
how's it going?
Thank you. Thank you. That's great. I'm good. I'm fabulous. If I were any better, I'd be triplets. Yeah.
Excellent,
Really.
excellent. Well, first and foremost, thanks for hopping on this Saturday,
Thanks for
Bertilla.
having me. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. And right now here on the East Coast, I don't know where you are currently residing right now as we do this show, but it is a little gray outside. We are dealing with a lot of kind of grayish, wet weather. But still, with that being said, how are things? How are you doing?
Well, you know what? It's gray here in Los Angeles today too, and that is unusual. But then again, we have fires everywhere, so I'm for sure it's just smoke clouding over us into this delightfully bad air we have in Los Angeles. Like really, it's like, what? But I'll be on the East Coast Tuesday. I'll be in New York, and New Hampshire. I'll be going to the East Coast for a while. God, you shouldn't say that publicly, right? I mean, I don't even know why people do that location thing on their social media. Like, look where I am. I'm not at home. Come rob me. But by the way, they're actually staying at my home. So just FYI.
Just
Okay.
FYI, just note that,
FYI.
you guys. Note
Listen,
that, you
I have
guys.
a big, big German Shepherd. Yes, I do.
So with that being said, before we hop into home economics, I
Yeah.
always, whenever we have guests that come on the show, one of the main missions of our show is to give our viewers a peek behind the curtain, so to speak, and perhaps if they want to pursue that said field, whether it's as a screenwriter, whether it's as a playwright, as a composer. We've had tons of composers
Yep.
on the show, because that is a discipline that a lot of people are passionate about and are
Yes.
looking to get into, as an actress as well, whatever the case may be. So I understand for you, that passion started at a very young age. However, I would still like to know specifically, when you would say that started. Was it, I know that, I guess, you got into debating as a teenager, if I understand correctly, but perhaps the passion specifically to perform, because debating has a component of go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah. No, I'll
So
answer your question. I'm sorry. Go
yeah,
ahead.
no worries. Did that spark even long before that? And then, secondly, for those that are, especially in this day and age, because I feel like it changes every few years on how to approach it. For those that are trying to be, actors, especially people who are minorities, people of color, with that diversity piece too, what would be your advice to them? I'm sorry, it's
Don't do
super
it.
loaded.
Yeah, like, that is, like, so loaded. I mean, really, what's my first advice? Let it go. Become a
Yes.
doctor, or a lawyer or a journalist, anything. No, look, first of all, I wrote my first play in the 6th grade, and they produced it, so I'm just saying. Uh, so I've always wanted to be an actor or a writer, and, so I was on the debate team. We were the first junior high school forensics league, uh, involvement because we competed against high schools. There was no junior high forensics league, and I was in junior high. I had a fabulous teacher, to this day is still my friend, Michelle Warner, who really inspired us to think outside the box and be bigger than ourselves. So what I did was dramatic interpretation on the debate team, which is a
Mm.
category. And I was like 13 when I won third in the nation against all these high school people, who none are actors now that I know of.
Okay.
But I continued on, and look, the age that I am from, which seems so long ago now. I mean, uh, was a different time. You could, back then, you walked around with your photo and you shoved it under casting directors' offices in
Yes.
Manhattan,
Yeah.
when you prayed that they would call you in, or agents, and that's what you
Sure.
did. But now I honestly think it's just much harder. We have a daughter, Hallie, who's she's not mine. I didn't give birth to her. Her mom did, but she's fabulous, and I'd love it if she were mine. She's my husband's, and she's a young actress in New York now. And she just had a student film. Well, not a student film. She did a short film which won some awards, and they're just creating their own material and putting it out there, and
Sure.
it's so different. So social media has become such a tool, a
Yes.
vehicle,
Yes.
for young
Content
people.
creation. Sure.
Yeah. So I don't know what to tell you on how to start, but I will tell you this: whatever you think you're doing, do 10 to 100 times more, because whatever amount of work you're putting into this profession or any profession, really, because I find this across the board with my friends that are lawyers, my friends that work in restaurants, my friends across the board, is that it takes a lot more than one initially thinks. So you need to put in a massive concentrated effort on a consistent basis before you start seeing the trickle in of what you're bound to be getting, which is hopefully work, right? But
Yes.
you're going to have to do a lot more than you think. And if there's a play you can get into as an actor off Broadway, which is what I did. I got good reviews, and then the next thing you know, they were calling me from the public theater. So you've just got to keep doing your work and your craft. And I'll tell you, actors, our medium is visual as far as television and film. In the theater, you can control the visual medium because there's lots that you can do, just like we do in TV and movies. But don't let that visual thing take you away from the fact that you've got to learn your craft. So I do suggest that you get thee to an acting school, and get thee a good coach and mentors and people that you like, that you can follow. And capital, like, and paramount, learn to listen. In every profession, I can't stress how important it is to listen. And in our profession as actors, everything happens in what you're listening to. How you hear the other person is what's going to determine your reaction, your intentions, and what you're going to do. So I don't know. I think it's much harder today. And as far as diversity, well, so I was on the board of the Screen Actors Guild for
Right.
quite a few years. And then when we merged the union, SAG and AFTRA, I was also there for the merger. Uh, and I was the national chair of the EEOC for
Right.
7 years. And I'm just going to toot our horn because we had an amazing team of people across the nation. We produced more events centered on diversity than had been produced at SAG-AFTRA by any other national EEOC committee, in the whole existence of the committee, which I think was about 45 years when I got to it.
Mhm.
So, uh, and I'll tell you, look, I think things are better. Uh, I think things are better than they were. I mean, as far as Latinos, I'm watching Andor, the two leads,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Diego Luna and
Oh yes.
yeah, these are Hispanic people.
Yeah.
We're on almost every television show right now that you can think of. There is an Hispanic person being represented. Maybe not in the best light, but most of the time we're improving from the gangster trip. I think Black
Yes.
Americans have made incredible strides. I mean, wow, right?
Yeah.
So I don't like to sit on the victim side of the fence. I really don't like that. I don't think that's going to help you in this profession. And look, you will be submitted to racism. That is for sure. I was, and to this day, I still am. It's really funny. And, they have these ideas of what we're all supposed to look like. And I can't tell you how many times I walk into a makeup trailer and they have makeup that's a lot darker than me. And they turn around. I mean, I've had somebody turn around and tell me I was the wrong color. I was like, dude, like, I don't know what you're thinking. Like, we, as far as Latinos, we're a multicultural, multi-ethnic, multiracial group, and I'm Caribbean, so we embody all of it, right? When you're from the Caribbean, your blood runs black, white, and red, and some yellow too, if that's what you want to call it. All right. I mean, I don't know if that's politically correct, but anyway, when you're from the Caribbean, you got everything. You got everything, and you are proud to have everything, because that's what makes us, so beautiful. And that's why we have the most Miss Americas. I'm just saying. I mean, Miss Universe. Okay, this is like going so whack. Um, but I guess that gives away like a lot of what I was subjected to, like how you have to be pretty, how you have to be skinny, how you have to have all this stuff going on, and you have to put up with what men do and say. So yeah, it's interesting. So I just tell people of color, listen, man, do not give up. We are at a good time. This is our time. This is our time. You do the work. You do it better than anybody else. No matter what color you are, you do it better than anybody else. They will not be able to ignore you, because look, I'm middle class all the way. That's what I am. I'm not super famous. I've had my moments of fame back in the day, and when I worked in Spanish television, because they wouldn't give me a role in American television. I had to go learn my craft in Spanish television, and as far as television craft, right, the camera.
Sure.
Um, and it was great. Okay, so I'm very grateful for that opportunity. But back in the day, there were nobody. There was like none of us. There were no. I can't name really. Okay, Diane Carroll. I mean, I grew up watching Julia. Like, there's there was there were no black people, there were no Hispanic people, there were no Asian people. I mean, there were one or two or three of us. That was it in every industry. But now, I mean, you can't see enough about J Lo or Camilla or or Beyonce. Like Lizzo. I mean, she's amazing, right? So we're and as far as like Asian actors and comedians, I mean, it's it's just a whole new world, and we should embrace it, and we should go out there and just take what is ours, because we belong there. We are America, all of us. And I just am excited. I think we're at a turning point. I know that things look gloomy out there, but I have seen this country fall back and rise, and we will again. And that's what is bugging people, is that we are rising. So just stick with it. Don't be a victim. Be proactive.
Absolutely. And uh, one thing I will say that I do find interesting of what you had in your upbringing, I should say, in your career path, and uh, what you did as a teenager with debating. I find it, funny in a way, because a lot of times, you look back on a lot of things and you see, okay, why am I taking this, path, or why is my life taking me in this direction? However, when you look back upon it, it still plays a drastic role in, the career path that you're seeking, because, even as in someone who debates, there is a great deal of uh, theatrical there is a theatrical component to it, where just like you would do like with a monologue or speaking in front of people,
Oh,
you are still exercising, that muscle of,
well,
public speaking. Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, no, I'm going to interrupt you on
Yes.
purpose, because first of all, lawyers are wonderful actors.
Yes.
And that's what they do. They get up in front of a jury and a
They have
judge,
to
and
convince you. Yeah.
they say the lines they've written. Uh, Now, I wasn't a debater. I did the dramatic interpretation part. which
Okay.
was you got up and you did 2 or 3 characters in front of a panel of judges and your peers in that room, and that was part of the Forensics League was dramatic interpretation. And it's the point you're making because, look, as far as I'm concerned, everything in life is theater. Do you know? Everything uh, is it's theater. Everything is drama. I mean, just in your daily life, you are confronting things every single day. And in the moment, you've got to make choices and decisions for yourself. And basically, that's what you're doing while you're acting on stage, right? You're not like, you're making choices and decisions for that character, you know? And yeah, debate um, is a huge portion of many different types of careers. You know,
And I was gonna
journalists.
say odd jobs too, because you hear oftentimes with a lot of actors when they talk about paying their dues, so to speak, in that time before they finally felt like they were in a comfortable spot career wise as an actor. You hear about all these jobs that they had to do just to make ends meet, and I'm like, okay, so you were basically preparing to be an actor because you were playing all these, taking on all these different hats, all these different roles of all
Absolutely.
these odd jobs that you did, because it takes you have to
Yeah.
take on a certain persona.
Yeah, I
So
bartended, I waitressed, I worked at an insurance company, that was weird, that did not last. Uh, you know, yeah, um, it's, exactly, I mean, as an actor, you don't I like to think that I'm not judging because, I'm gonna listen to you because I might play you one day. Do you know? I mean, Christian Bale played, Dick Cheney. I mean, I don't know if his politics align with Dick Cheney, but he played a he played it beautifully, right? So, uh, you just don't know. I mean, I play a lot of crazy people, and I mean, some people might beg to differ, but I don't think that I've gone completely insane yet. Um, and and or I play mothers. I have no children. I once played a grandmother. I don't have any grandchildren. So it's not, it's just a matter of understanding life. And you're right, all the different roles, all the different things that we do before we so called make it, as they say, uh, really do develop the character that we have as people, right? That we grow into as adults or as human beings. Um, but I don't know, I don't know what to say to people about all this. I just know that no matter what you do, just be compassionate and be kind, and in this profession to yourself most of all, because we have a tendency to beat ourselves up. And look, I'm really comfortable where I'm at. Thank you, Jesus. I'm really comfortable. I have a nice career. I work consistently. I've had really, really bad moments and really good moments. I mean, I expected other things, but I also didn't expect for everybody to keep reminding me that I was Hispanic or Latina or, that kept being like, I kept being reminded of that all the time. It was really funny. I was like, all right, well, all this classical training, I don't know. Um, and, on the other side, I've had so much good luck and so many wonderful people that have supported me and have been such wonderful inspiration for me. So, you know,
excellent, excellent. I feel like we will dive in now to home economics. So I appreciate you open up about that, Bertilla, and talking about home economics. This isn't the first season. We are a couple of seasons in, and in joining this show. Can you that's always an interesting perspective uh, to join a project is when it's in essence already moving ship, so to speak, versus hopping on as the ship is being constructed. So can you talk a bit about that and that
well,
experience of getting in that way?
it's a great show. Before I auditioned for the show, I I streamed it. I binge watched it because, well, I binge watched it because it was really good, and it got me really involved. And it's a wonderful comedy. It's got a little of everything, and it's really lovely to see. It's a family dynamic and how all the siblings are completely different and how they have different financial situations, different amount of children. uh, different backgrounds. Um, Topher Grace leads the cast, and he's wonderful. I don't, I mean, he was really, really great in that '70s show, and
Of
then he was
course.
really, really cool. In Black Klansman, he played David Duke, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
he's a really good actor. I love that movie. Black Klansman was awesome, and so he's a delightful human being. And then the Carla Souza, she's a wonderful Mexican American actress who, well, she's just lovely, so sweet, so friendly, so kind. I mean, I just felt very welcomed and very wonderful. The way everybody treated me was just so lovely. And then we were working on some of the hottest days of the year, so we were outside, and I can't tell you who I play or any of that because that's a surprise, right? They won't even, like even IMDb hasn't even put it up yet, right? So, so we were working, and it was like 105, 101, 105, a whole week of this extraordinary weather up in Santa Clarita or close to Pacoima, and we were outside, and it was just I was just I couldn't believe that we pulled this off. Just an amazing crew. We did have a couple of people pass out, and I think one of them was for sure the heat, and another person we're not really sure. They were walking and they passed out, but the heat was extraordinary. And I just have to tell you that this cast, this crew, and the guy that I worked with, that I wish I could tell you who it was, but you're going to see it October 12th on Home Economics. You'll see who my lovely, lovely partner was in this, and we have partnered once before. Uh,
Oh, okay.
Years ago on a show called Golden Palace, I partnered with this person, and he is a really extraordinary human being, a lovely person. So working on this show that was just worked like clockwork. I mean, they were just on, and people are so professional, and everyone is so talented. And I'm not saying this because I'm on the show. I mean, I'm saying it because it's true. I really binge watched it because I liked it, and I think a lot of people will like this show. It's got a little bit of everything for family, everything. Um, and a little bit for all of us, really. So I think they made a real effort uh, to show the different lifestyles of people in the country on this show. Really, all in this family. It's really sweet, really great.
Awesome, awesome. And to comment further on that, you talking about how great it was to, be welcomed into, that family. My other question is just, I guess, artistically, it every show has kind of its own, what's the word that I want to look for, its own aesthetic, if you will,
Ethos. Yeah.
from one show to another. And I know sometimes that could be, especially if you've just gotten out of maybe doing a comedy, or just got out of doing a horror film, and moving into a new aesthetic. Maybe sometimes you have a little breather in between that time. Sometimes it's the very next day after getting off the set from doing
Yeah,
something else. So
yeah, I went from Home Economics to a new show that's coming. I don't know exactly when it premieres. They just sent me a wrap party, and I couldn't go, but I know they're going to shoot overseas. Uh, and I think I can say the name of the show is Mrs. Davis. It's going to be really great. It's got Betty Gilpin in it and Jake McDormand. I mean, wow. So yeah, I went from a very, very different character um, in Home Economics, which is a comedy, to a 1 hour sci-fi type thriller dramedy thing. Which no, I think this show is going to be so cool. Like, I really, I just think it's going to be so cool. And I'm just like, by the way, don't forget to call me back. Uh, like, I mean, the part was awesome, and it just was diametrically opposed. But you do that all the time because that's what you do. Like, I'm an actor. Like, I like it. When I get to do stuff, I can do anything really. I mean, I can be as street as you want me to be, or as sophisticated as you want me to be. And I love that. Like the other day, I got an audition for someone who's in prison, and I was so excited. I was like, oh god, I get to be in prison. Like, what's that about? You know, and especially she feels that she's been unjustly imprisoned. somebody who suffered abuse at her husband's hand and then ended up killing him. I don't think she's going to get, well, anyway, I can't give you the plot. But, oh, well, you don't know the show. But anyway, she might. So she's up for parole, but I don't think it's going to work out for her. Uh, but I'm just saying, like, that's like the fun of it all, is getting to be all these different things that are inside you, and you get to express them and bring some
Absolutely.
honor to characters and people, right?
Absolutely. Well, you already jumped ahead. You must be psychic. I was going to ask what you have coming next. Are there any other projects that you are able to share? Maybe you can't right now, other than what you just shared just
Yeah.
now.
Um, no, no, I can't share anymore, but there will be other projects.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, we sign these, they're not really
NDAs.
they're not binding NDAs, but they do tell you, like, don't tell anybody anything. And I'm not really sure why they do that. But yeah, I mean, I would think that you want people to tell everybody, and that brings people into the show, right? Or the
I get
product.
it to a degree. You want to. There is a a nice sense on the other side as the audience of being surprised in a day and age
Okay.
where everything is already made available to you and spoiled for you. So I
Okay,
get
well,
it.
you know what? I get that. I totally get that, because I do not want to know what the next episode of Andor really is. Okay. But excuse me, I have terrible allergies. Uh, yeah. So yes, there are other projects, and I just finished another really cool thing, which I love the theater, and I haven't been able to do anything in the theater in many years. And I just did a project with Danny Pino, who you guys must know from Cold Case, Law and Order,
Sure.
The Mayans. Really good friend of mine, and Jason Canella, who's going to be starring in the new Mrs. American Pie. Just really talented. Robbie Ramos, I think, is also coming up in a new series, who's the writer. And it was about Cuba in 1962.
Mm.
So it was really a wonderful reading of this amazing play. And it went off awesome. We did it at Art Share LA. We had like 100 people show up, which is a lot in a small space, and also a lot for small theater in Los Angeles. So I loved doing that project. And I mean, I don't know. I guess you could go to the Robbie Ramos on Instagram and maybe see some photos, or the Gabrielle Bonilla on Instagram and see some photos. I don't post pretty much anything. I did post the flyer for this because I was excited. And so I don't know. I guess it had been a very long time before I posted anything on Instagram, and I did it. Um, I'm not big on social media posting. I stopped posting on Facebook. I used to. But I don't know, but I do complain on Twitter. Yeah, that is one of my favorite things to do. I complain about the state of affairs of the country, and I'm always just flabbergasted, really, at what I am seeing. But I really do, like I said before, I have seen this country in the whole, and I've seen it rise up, and we will win the day in the long run. And I am specifically speaking for those of us that are pro democracy with small d. All right, I'm just saying that. Uh, but yeah, so that's where you can find me on social media. And I mean, if you want to see what I'm posting about my work, I really, really do that. I don't know. Uh, Maybe I should do more, right? Uh,
Absolutely. I'll give you some ideas. Just stick around. I'll give you some
okay.
ideas
All right.
of some
All right.
way you can do that. But with that being said, Bertilla, as I mentioned at the top, thank you for hopping on this
Thank you.
weekend. And not only talking about home economics, your turn on that show, but also your advice to actors. Because as I said, whenever we have guests on here, I always like to provide opportunity for viewers that are watching of
Yeah.
everyone has a different path. There isn't any one set path, I feel, and everyone may have a path that is similar to yours that you may find inspiration from. So
Yeah, yeah, and like Michelle Obama says, "Be better, people, be better. Do more and
indeed,
be better," okay? And they cannot ignore you, but know that
indeed.
it's a tremendous commitment, and whatever you think you're doing, it's not enough. Do more and be better.
But that is a perfect spot to leave it. Bertilla, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. I'm your host, Brandon Choi, host and co creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be safe out there, and I'll see you soon. Bye.
Thanks so much, Brendan. See you later.